You will be shocked by what you are about to find out, chosen one. Know that you are not here by accident right now. You've come to this place at this very moment because something amazing is about to happen in your life. Time and again, the best thing about your life is not what you did, but what you didn't do. You didn't lash out. You didn't cry. You didn't go after what God told you to leave behind. You just saved yourself by doing that. From a fight that was going on behind the scenes that you didn't know about. Heaven saw it. God saw it. How you didn't say anything, how you kept your cool, and how you didn't fear. That was the move. You not only stayed focused, you also called on God's protection. This is the story of how your quietness just caused damage. Let's break it down. Before we start, please like, share, and follow if you haven't already. This is a message the picked one needs to hear. Use the number 77 in the comments if you feel like this word has power for you. It's not just a number. Giving the universe a strong sign that you're ready to claim the blessing that's truly yours is a powerful act. People who have been truly picked are the only ones who will stay until the end, and those who do will gain a deeper knowledge, become more spiritually aware, and be able to claim the blessings that are hidden in this message. Don't forget that this is information that grows, one layer at a time. Watch this video as many times as you need to get your mind, body, and heart ready for what it shows. Every time you go back, you'll see something important that you might not have seen the first time. The urge to respond is talked about in Chapter 1. You caused trouble. Somebody made you angry. It's possible that life pushed you too far. It hurt to be betrayed. The lies hurt a lot. It made your anger boil that they were rude. It made you want to clap back, raise your voice, and say something. Make them feel the pain you felt by giving it back to them. You wanted to protect your honor, your name, and your heart. There was no reason or right for you not to reply. But then something more important spoke. There was a quiet voice inside that said, "Don't." It wasn't fear. That wasn't being weak. Then that was discipline. That was a strong spirit. You didn't walk into a trap that looked like a moment of justice because of divine wisdom. You see, the enemy doesn't always bring damage. He shows up sometimes by setting the stage for you to act in your flesh and step out of your grace. He knows that if he can't stop you, he'll try to make you do something. He will try to get you into a fight that will destroy your peace, clarity, and harmony. You weren't fooled, though. You didn't bite the bullet. It was stillness over noise and restraint over response that you picked. You chose that your goal was too important to let small disagreements get in the way. And that choice, that one moment of self-control, did more than you think. You didn't just stay out of a fight. You did well on a test. You showed that you were mature. You became a master because anyone can respond. But only a chosen few can stay rooted when chaos strikes. Your actions showed that not everything is worth your time, effort, or care. It came back to you that quiet is strategy and peace is power. What your enemy meant to stop you from succeeding made you stronger. What was meant to knock you down made you stand higher. Heaven was angry when you didn't answer. There was something in your quiet. It was full of hope. You were not weak because you didn't clap back. It made you unable to move. You didn't realize how big that moment was. It had nothing to do with that person or that event. It had to do with the next level. It would have taken time for you to answer. You would have lost ground because of how you reacted. But your discipline kept you alive. And now, the strong truth. If you had responded emotionally, you would have pushed back what God had planned. Because you kept your cool, though. You put into place. You let the sky stay open over your life. You were able to keep your login. You walked with inner power. Not only did your discipline keep the peace, it also kept your word. So remember this the next time you want to react. The enemy wants you to do something. God is waiting for you to be careful. Your future will depend on how well you can stay focused, grounded, and loyal. There are times when you really want to answer. That's not what discipline means. It's getting ready. It's setting up. You passed the test, which means you're now ready for something much bigger than when you tried to lose everything. The second part, the fight in silence. War isn't always loud. In fact, the hardest and greatest fights you'll ever have will be the ones no one sees. There are no acts or noise, just a war going on inside your soul every day. That kind that makes you smile in public while keeping back tears in your heart. The kind that makes you be there for other people, even though you're not sure who is really there for you. These are the fights that make you strong, test your heart, and shape who you are. You've been in that kind of battle, chosen one. You know what it's like to be still during a storm, to be surrounded by people who don't understand you and not feel the need to protect yourself, to be judged by stereotypes, hurt by envy, and ignored by people who used to back you but still choose peace. That's not being weak. That's strong like a fighter. That's spiritual growth. That's what makes you unique. That's what picks you. People saw that you were cool, but not that you were crazy. They saw how disciplined you were, but not how you made those choices. They didn't see the weight on your back, but the light in your eyes. Why did you carry what you did? It wasn't because no one cared. It was your job, your fight, your chance to show what you could do. You weren't just walking through fire. It was making you better. And instead of, you fought fire with fire, and you walked in the spirit. You didn't clap back. Instead, you bowed your head in prayer. You didn't get angry. You worked on getting better. You didn't just make it through that quiet time. You were getting stronger from it. Heaven paid attention. God saw you hold your tongue the whole time, every time you forget and forgive, every tear you wiped away, without saying a word. You always fought getting even, not because you were scared, but because you knew what was going on. Being aware of what was at risk. Aware that what you do could make you lose your peace. Being aware that the enemy's main goal wasn't just to hurt you, but also to get you out of place. You stayed, though. You kept going. You did what they said. You were held together by more than just your discipline. It kept you safe. It put up an imaginary wall around your life to keep you safe. People swore at you, but the words bounced off your covering. The darts were thrown. There was gossip, lying, and betrayal, but they never got to you. Why? Because you were working under God's plan to protect you. Not because your strength, but because of how you stand. In the dark, you were true. You were taught a lesson in the dark. Now, heaven is getting ready to give you a prize in the light. Your quiet fights laid the groundwork for your loud success. When you reach the top, people will wonder how you got there because they won't know how many nights you cried, how many times you almost broke, or how many hits you took without saying a word. But God knew, and God always appreciates things that are done behind closed doors. You didn't waste your time fighting in silence. It was a prayer. And the win you're about to get isn't a coincidence. It's deserved. Part 3. The skill of waiting. There are times when God will ask you to wait more than anything else. You're ready, not because you're lazy, uninspired, or not sure what to do. He replies, Not yet. It's tough to wait when everything else seems to be going well. It looks like everyone else is making progress, but I'm stuck. The urge to move quickly is strong. It's in your nature to act, fix things, and seize chances that seem right. When the time came to act, though, something inside you told you to stop and wait for God's will. That quiet voice was right. That pause wasn't a sign of weakness. It was smart. The wait wasn't a rejection. It was for safety. You thought you missed a chance, but what you thought was a closed door was actually God's way of keeping you safe from a road that wasn't meant for you. Someone or a job you thought you lost. Your fate wasn't lined up with it. It would have led you to a place that wasn't meant for you if you had gone after it. You weren't passive when you chose to wait. It was a choice to believe in God's time and plan. When you trust God's plan, you don't have to do nothing. It's about doing the worst thing possible, fighting the desire to rush, to force your way through, or to make things happen your way. You chose to wait, and you chose to believe that God knows more than you do. You chose to trust that the road He has planned for you is better than any shortcut or quick fix you could come up with on your own. God's delays are never turns down. They are divine side trips that lead to bigger things. You might have thought that missing a chance put you behind schedule, but in fact, it set you up for something much better. You were getting ready, stronger, more polished, and more in line with what you wanted every second you spent waiting. What your real goal is. That break wasn't a lack of movement. It was the time you needed to get ready for the next step. The truth is that you will never miss what's meant for you. What God wants to give you will come at just the right time, when you're ready to accept it. All things have their own set times, and nothing can stop your fate. So don't freak out when you're in a time of waiting again. Take your time. Do not try to get something done before the right time. Have faith that God is at work, the scenes, even though you can't see them. Have faith that He will lead you to the right place at the right time. Your waiting is for a reason. You're getting ready for the things you've hoped for. The answers, gifts, and big steps forward are on their way. During this time of delay, your dedication didn't go to waste. You learned that sometimes the best thing you can do is wait. It was a wonderful chance to grow, and when the time is right, you'll fully step into your mission. Get ready for everything that's going to happen. Because you let God work on you through the process, you'll be ready for the gift. You are stronger, smarter, and better ready to walk in the fullness of your fate because of the delay. Part 4. Following orders over feeling. You meant to phone them. You planned to stop. You wanted to post something that would have made you feel good at the time, but cost you a lot in the long run. You knew you had to act because of how frustrated, angry, and hurt you were. Get things done on your own. You could have let off steam. You might have been able to say everything, but you chose to obey instead. You picked the quiet voice over the crazy loud feelings. You made a choice in that quiet moment, a choice that not many people liked. You had to make a hard choice that would change the course of your life. You said no, even though you really wanted to say yes. In spite of your flesh's urges, you decided to listen to God's still, small voice. And in that one act that seemed so small, you didn't know it yet, but your life took a turn that would bring you peace, meaning, and safety. That act of obedience wasn't just to avoid a short-lived feeling of pleasure. It had to do with breaking patterns. At that time, you didn't know how much pain you saved yourself. When you put obedience ahead of your feelings, you broke out of a routine that could have kept you stuck. Others might not have seen how you got out of a danger that you were in. Something stopped when you did that. Something from happening again. Something that had been following your family, your relationships, and your decisions for years or even generations. Your loyalty was not a one-time thing. It meant you beat emotional habits that were trying to take over your life. You did not let bad experiences or disappointments from the past control your future. Even though it didn't feel good at the time, you did what was right because you knew it would pay off in the long run. Self-control wasn't the only thing here. Strength from the spirit was at work. Picked one. How you behave caused a chain reaction that will reverberate through your future. Those quiet times of obedience will lead you to new opportunities, keep you from falling into bad habits, and put you in line with God's favor. Something changed in the spiritual world when you chose to hold your tongue, wait instead of running, and walk away instead of getting involved. You will never know how much trouble you saved by obeying. You'll never fully understand the family curses you broke or the bad habits you gave up, that you kept things from getting out of hand. You do know this, though, because you didn't go with your gut, but with what you knew was right. Your future just changed. For that reason, you've prepared yourself for a lot of gifts that will keep coming. As soon as you did what they said, your future changed. Things started to look different to you. From now on, every choice you make that is based on obedience will only make that basis stronger. You're starting a new life, in line with the goal. That's the power of putting duty over your feelings. As you step into your fate, it's not just a choice you make at the moment, it's a divine investment. The benefits of being obedient are bigger than you can imagine right now. You'll only fully understand how they spread after the fact. Every step you take that is in line with God's will gets you ready for something bigger than you ever thought possible. Part 5. How the Spirit reacted. What you did in the wild set off. There is something in the air. At the time, you might not have known it, but your choice to stay grounded was a win for more than just you. It was a change in spirit. If you didn't say anything, the angels would move. When you prayed instead of freaking out, heaven helped you. When you let go of grudges and forgive, chains broke. Not just for you, but also for people who know your name. Whatever you do in the real world has an effect on the spiritual world. That's what many people don't get. They believe it's weak to run away, stay quiet, or choose peace. In fact, though, it's war. You won fights every time you resisted the urge to fall back into old habits, every time you didn't let someone upset you, and every time you stood strong in faith instead of fear. You could not even see. The enemy wanted you to do something. He didn't want you to fight, but he did want you to lose your peace and act in your flesh instead of your spirit. You weren't fooled, though. You picked to obey, be patient, and smarts. And because of that, you didn't just stay away from bad things. You made favor available. It was an earthquake in the spiritual world that you thought was a small act of control. It changed the mood. It messed up the plans of the enemy. It pushed back the darkness without you doing anything. That's how the chosen ones fight. Not by shouting or acting carelessly, but by being smart, patient, and following through. This is the most important part. The gift you're getting now isn't a fluke. It's because of the fights you won in silence. God saw how hard you worked and rewarded you. He saw how calm you were and praised you. People are saying your name in places you haven't been yet. Because you were honest, when no one was looking, doors are opening for you. Small things you didn't seem to make a big difference in the hidden world. Now the reward is already being given to you because you were loyal. This is a new level of favor, a raise from God. What you thought was being ignored was actually being written down in heaven. Every tear, every prayer, and every word that was held back meant something. The angels were not only looking, they were also sent to help you. And now, the chains that had been around you for years are coming off. Curses are being turned around. Generational responsibilities are being taken away, not just because you yelled or fought, but also because you did what they said when it meant the most. Your calmness made room for God's glory to move in ways that your anger could never have. What you did in the sound of quiet can be heard forever. Also, this is really cool. By following God's rules, you are freeing future generations. Your children, your future, and your legacy will all be different because of the time you put God's will ahead of your own. It wasn't just you in your fight. It was about the people who will come after you. Since you stayed true, they won't have to fight the same wars. You broke strings. You changed the mood. You answered a prayer. Somebody else didn't. They know how to pray too. Part 6. What you didn't see. Things were getting ready behind your back. People are having conversations. People are planning. Chances that are meant to confuse. Do not try to open doors by lifting them up. That would have taken years. The enemy had a plan, but you were too disciplined to let your emotions get in the way, so it didn't work. You didn't run after the wrong thing, so the attack lost its power. You couldn't get the wrong thing to stick to you. It was more dangerous what you didn't see than what, yes, you did. But here's the amazing thing. Your dedication made things happen for you. What you do in private, how honest you are, and the prayers you say in secret. They put up a force field around your fate. Others were responding and moving quickly, but you stayed put, and the Spirit got a strong message from the silence. This one is taken care of. You had no idea what was going to happen. You missed the trap. The lies were not heard by you. You did not see the door that would have let disappointment in. But heaven did. And heaven answered. Your self-control, your ability to stay cool, and your character. It kept you safe from plots to hurt you. Plans that weren't from God were changed by it. The enemy was confused because he thought you would give up. He thought you would snap, lash out, and act on your own. You didn't, though. You didn't say anything. You relied on God's plan. You didn't stray. Because of this, you dodged fights that were never yours. You stayed away from attachments that seemed like gifts, but were really burdens. You stayed away from losses that looked like sudden chances. And now, for the deeper part. Your obedience in private made you safe in public. Staying true to what you saw earned you favor in what you don't see. You planted seeds of safety for your future every time you decided to walk by faith instead of sight. This is the truth. You would have opened doors if you had been moody. The wise part of you was supposed to stay shut. But you grew up. You took a break. You made room for God to move. So because of that, the bad guy's plan fell apart before it could reach you. You might never fully understand what it was that kept you from moving. But one day you'll see that the wait was worth it because it kept you safe. That refusal was a shift. The quiet was a wall. You didn't just say no to temptation. You pulled down destruction. You didn't just remain quiet. You kept the promise you made. It's possible to win the most important fights without even knowing they were going on. Because God fought for them. Thank you. Picked. You are still there. Not because of what you fought, but because of what you won't fight. You won because you didn't hit. You moved forward by staying still. That's the strange thing about divine punishment. It really is strong, even though it looks weak. And that holy choice to stay still, keep your mind on the task at hand, and be dedicated saved you. Heaven praised your self-control. God stood up for your name. And the doors that are about to open are the ones He picked for you, not the ones the enemy tried to give you. False goods. Danger was something you didn't see coming. Deliverance was something you never saw happen. What you didn't see form was a favor star. It's going to show up in ways you didn't expect. When it does, you'll know that your discipline didn't make your fate take longer. It kept it safe. Good luck going through the right doors, now that you're wise, peaceful, and strong. Part 7. Next up is divine promotion. Height is the next thing to do now that the storm is over. It wasn't just about staying alive in the fight. It was a place to show they could get promoted. God saw what you went through. He saw the pain, the fear, and the prayers that were said through tears. He saw what you didn't do, though, which is more important. You didn't fight back. You didn't trick them. You didn't try to gain power or change who you are to be seen. In the secret spot, you stayed true to me, which is why there will be a raise. Not because of how loud you were, but because you were the best when no one was looking. Not because you flexed your power, but because you were humble. You showed that people could trust you at night. God is now ready to put His trust in you in the light. This rise is more than just a job. It is a platform with a goal. It's not about awards or cheers. It has to do with work. You're not being praised for your looks. You are being raised to make a difference. People will be amazed at how fast you rose, but they will never understand how hard you trained or how heavy your battles were. Following rules shows that you are spiritual, grown up. The way you've grown up just moved heaven. You didn't miss any steps. You didn't ask for easy ways out. After going through the process, you were made clean. It got you ready. It made you stand out. That's why the door about to open isn't just any door. It's on time. You were left with the solitude, the silence, and the anger. Now, you have more power, are going to new places, and have a greater calling. Now that you're high, God will bring you down. But you won't feel proud of yourself. You'll feel more purposeful. And now, for the beauty. You had no idea what was going to happen. You weren't trying to get higher. You wanted people to obey you. And now your peace is your prize for keeping your peace. The people who didn't pay attention to you will have to see you go where they said you'd never get to. Your time of secret loyalty did not go to waste. There is a harvest in public for every yes that was said in secret. God saw all of our tears. Every time you were about to give up, you chose humility over hype many times, and He is paying you for it. You were made in the fire. That's the reason you're not going to fold. Even during the worst times, your loyalty showed that you were ready for more. Now, your loyalty is about to open doors you never thought possible. What helped you get through the hard times will be what keeps you going in this new season. Your dedication really only set the stage for this next part. It's safe for you. You've been promoted. You're all set. Picked one. You didn't just get through the storm because of how careful you were. It got you ready for the next season. You stayed in place. You kept your soul in balance. Now, the winds of good fortune are blowing your way. The wait is over.